What's up, guys? What's going on?
What's up?
Wait, this is the first time in a while we've had all 6 of us on this podcast.
It's been a while, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We want to talk about everything first-time home buyers. I'm sure between all of us, we've had a handful of, or a ton actually, of dealing with her first-time buyers. I want to say that the experience is a little bit different compared to dealing with someone that's on their second or third house, but. There's a good feeling of like very rewarding of like when you help out a first time and they get land their first house. I wouldn't say the experience is good or bad, it's just different, right? So if you're a first time listener on this podcast, hopefully you'll learn something with what we're talking about today. So. How do you guys first introduce or help first-time buyers get their feet wet in this market?
For me, I generally do have a meeting with them prior to even doing any showings, right? Just to answer any questions that they may have, set the right expectations. Because a lot of times, what I find is with first-time home buyers is that they have a specific budget that they'll have, and they would want to buy the best possible house. Like for example, they would, if they had the budget of say a Honda, and they would want that Mercedes, right? But that's the point of the first meeting, is to really set the right expectations and just answering a lot of the different questions they may have, so that when we are looking at different properties, they can have the right mindset going into the actual presentation.
I think there's some level of introduction, education, just an intro to the purchase experience. For a lot of people, they're just all about, they jump right into the search. That's the fun part. Like this home, all the features. I want this. I want this. I want the location. But there's way more beyond.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because then, when you're in that initial meeting, you'll generally have a lot of conversations about, types of properties that you'll likely be looking at. What the conditions are that you would want to be able to have if you can have it, right? And just the whole process of after we purchase the property, right? And even going through a lot of the bid war stuff nowadays, right? To get them all mentally ready and prepared. How do you guys generally do it?
I think setting actually just starting off even before talking about housing. A lot of the first-time home buyers, they think 20% is the golden number that everyone wants for a down payment, but realistically it's not. I've done deals where it's 5% down, 10% down, and I think a lot of people need to know that 20% is nice to have, but it's not an absolute necessity in some cases, right? Woody, you guys do mortgages. What's the general qualifications for stuff like that?
Well, I think instead of going into the specifics of it, I think in general, to get a buyer ready, what's important is to get their borrower profile ready. So get your financial house in order. So if you're looking to buy a house, definitely get your taxes done. So because things you'll need are your notice of assessments, your T4s, your T1 tax forms, your job letter, good credit score. Your credit score should be in at least the 600s. So you should get ready about 2 years ahead of time. That's what I say, because if your credit's bad, that gives you plentiful time. You can drastically increase your credit score within 12 months, but 2 years gives you that runway to get your taxes in order, to get your credit up to snuff, and I think that's very important.
I think 2 years is like a magic number too. If you're self-employed, I think most lenders
it's
look
always
at the last 2 years.
Absolutely.
Last 2 years, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
So how about pay stubs? Because I find a lot of people ask me what if I don't have pay stubs? I'm working 3 jobs.
That's where the 2 years kind of comes in, right? They got to.
If you're self-employed, it's the last 2 years. Would they consider 3? If your income, let's say 3 years ago, was super high,
Yeah, so different lenders have different requirements. So once you step away from the A1 banks, so from your TDs, RBCs, BMOs, once you step away from them, there's a lot more flexibility. So different lenders will look at different items. So for example, a self-employed individual, maybe somebody in IT, doesn't necessarily have to be self-employed for 2 years. They could be self-employed in 1 year, but if they've been in IT for 15 years as an employee, that gives them the history that a lender can rely upon. So yeah, it's very flexible once you step out of the tier 1 banks.
So to my question though, I think it may or may not be renters or first-time buyers. Mm-hmm. If they come and ask me that they have cash income, how can they show that without the pay stubs and show to a lender that they're qualified? I have income coming from different sources, multiple sources.
Bank statements. Some lenders will accept bank statements.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But as always, the more flexible you get, you have to have more flexibility in terms of the interest rate as well. The mortgage rate as well. So if you're looking for a product with more flexibility, the mortgage rate is going to be slightly higher. Not drastically, but slightly. That's why if you go to the other end of the spectrum and go with a private mortgage, they don't even care about your income, your credit. They just care about the property.
Right.
And if you have 20% down,
that's all they want.
That's it. They'll lend you the rest.
Right. So going back to the topic again. So how we prepare our first-time homebuyers is pre-qualification is number one, right? Mm-hmm. There's no point in going out if you don't know what they can afford.
Agreed.
Pre-qualification. What else do you guys do?
Like after they get money, get their money sorted out, they know what their budget is. Mm-hmm. Then we start talking about different locations, right? What it is, how many people
wish list, is
it going to be just for yourself,
okay,
your family, whatever it is? I think that's pretty important to determine what type of size you're going to be looking for. If it's first time home buyer looking for a condo for themselves, probably a 1-bedroom or a bachelor, right? If they have a bigger budget, maybe 1+10. We'll see where it ends.
But from experience though, right when you're having that coffee, they want to list out all their wants.
Oh yeah,
that's the first thing they do. I want 3 bedrooms, 2 garage, 1 acre land.
What I tell them
start
often.
Dreaming.
The wish list, the full list.
But when I ask those questions, actually let them dream. I let them list everything first, and then I go back to reality where we talk some numbers and qualification. Because you got to let them talk. The more they say, then you can kind of position them, steer them.
Well, that's a good point, because you want to allow them to enjoy that process, right? Because it's your first time buying. It's scary. It's intimidating, right? You have all these ideas, right? And it's a very emotional ride for them.
Yeah, because all they see it's on TV, right?
On shows. They're watching property brothers or something.
Listed or probably.
I want to have this decoration. I want this bed. Couch. Furniture. That's what I'm thinking already.
Oh, do you guys
actually? That's a really good point. So careful with when you're actually first time home buyers, when you're looking at property, don't pay attention to the actual furnishing of the property
or the paint.
Yeah.
That's true. Staging works.
Because staging actually does leave a very deep impression with buyers. Right?
Or don't let them make a purchase decision because their current furniture doesn't fit in the space. You know how many times my couch is too big for that.
My couch is too big.
I don't like the space. My couch won't fit.
Buy a new couch.
Buy a new couch. My dining table is way too big for this space. Let's move on.
Or some people are like, I want a 1-bedroom condo, but I have a king size bed. I'm like, no business should you have a king size bed in a 1-bedroom condo.
Don't base it on your personal items.
Yeah, another thing I tell my buyers is there's 3 things: location, the property itself, and the price. Pick 2. Pick 2 out of 3. That's it. If you have unlimited budget, then you can have everything. Yeah. But otherwise, pick 2. You can get a nice house for a low price, but location,
Sacrifice.
He's gonna have to compromise a little bit.
Something,
Yeah.
There's not going to be a perfect house, is what you're saying. You're going to make some compromises.
Yes, there's no perfect property unless you have a limited budget.
Yeah.
And if you want good location, good property,
I remember. You know what? I
gotta
remember.
be willing to make it
I
rain.
remember. Was it coaching in earlier years when we talked about triangle? There's a specific triangle about what they want, but they definitely conflict. It was definitely, I think it was price, and quality, location. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Yeah, triangle.
Yeah.
That's the triangle.
He said triangle without saying triangle. That's
He said the 3 points is, but that's what a triangle is.
But well, I mean, help the listeners visualize, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
The triangle. You have all three.
So why don't you draw it up for us?
Yeah,
So,
draw
like,
it
if you
out,
have a
draw it out.
triangle like this, right? What's on the top? What's on the right? what's
Yeah.
on the
Okay. I
bottom?
mean, the top. I would say price, right? Price. That's the number one. People think about. And then quality on the lower left corner.
Location. Well, location.
Yeah, location and then quality. Quality would be the other spectrum.
So when you say quality, what do you mean by quality?
I mean, quality could be the finishes, the condition of the house.
Yeah.
Right. Whether it's dated, right, or modern, right.
The furniture.
No, man.
Yeah, but I mean, for sure, like the quality, the build of the house. How old it is. Does it need renovation? Or is it move-in ready? That's the condition that I'm talking. Quality and condition. That's what I would put. So having, like you said, pick two out of the three. Right? You can have like, let's say if you're price sensitive, right? And you want a really nice home, right? With a lot of specs, a lot of features, 3 garage, 3,000 square feet. Then the location, and you want to, somewhat
So instead of actually living in like downtown Toronto, you have to move out to
Sudbury. Shout out to my Sudbury people.
yeah, sure, people
for sure.
Sudbury, man.
maybe Brock.
Actually, North Bay. Actually.
I was gonna call my Kleinberg again, but I'm just kidding.
No, you gotta go.
I'm just joking.
You gotta go further, like maybe Brock, like Port Perry, right? Like Sunderland.
There's another point that a lot of first-time homebuyers miss, and I would say would be school zone. So it doesn't matter if they don't have kids yet, but there are certain schools that rank much higher than others,
Agreed.
and it could be like just a street difference, and it could impact the property values like maybe 5-10% just because of the school.
Yes, I've had a client decide between either private school or a property in an amazing school zone.
Yeah.
In the end, he chose house in amazing school zone because after the kids graduate, the house is still appreciating.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even if they don't have kids, resale is so much better in a good school zone.
Oh my goodness! What's that high school by the Empress and Young?
Earl Haig.
Earl Haig. It's so bad there that there are individuals illegally getting addresses in the location, borrowing or renting addresses just to get in that school location if they can't afford to buy there.
Yeah, actually, you know what? So that area there, you got to be very careful because a lot of families move into different condos.
Yes.
Specifically to allow their kids to get into
The address,
these different schools,
Yes.
like the McKee, Earl Haig, right? Even Claude Watson, right? Where the art school down there. But because there's certain buildings, you have to be very careful. If you are buying a building around or, in that area, not every building qualifies you to move into those different school districts. So be careful. That's one thing you got to look after. Look out
Know the catchment area for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Because you can buy in one building and the next building. So for example, one building could be McKee and then the next building could be Finch Public School. Right? And it's like, what do you mean? Like my neighbor has access to McKee.
Yeah.
Why am I going to Finch? Right.
Yeah.
And the school's right across the street.
So
How does that make any sense?
So what's the best resource for school verification? Because when you check sometimes online, I mean, it could be wrong. Like
TDSB?
Yeah,
Really,
no,
the
just a
TDSB
school locator on the website.
Yeah.
It will draw out the
Real-time.
boundaries, right?
Yeah.
I mean, to be absolutely
good to know.
sure, like if that's your sole purpose, call the school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Agreed.
call the school, give them the address. Does this qualify?
And so, in terms of price, property, location, what recommendations do you have for new buyers? Like I'll start with price. Honestly, for me, this is a very realtor answer, but I personally tell my own family and friends this: buy the most house that your money can afford, because you will never regret buying the most house, but there's many people who regret buying something that they're comfortable with, and then later on they're like, oh, I want to upgrade, and they may not be able to.
Yeah, it's easier to buy bigger and then go smaller if you need it than to go the reverse, right? And to buy up. I understand that. But in terms of price point, though, you have to make sure that it's realistic too, right? So I always tell my clients, don't go over your budget. For the first time in your first purchase, don't blow your budget. Don't make an emotional decision. They go into the house, they see everything. I want it. It's a bit more. Yeah, but I'm going to go all in. Might not be the best advice, right, to do that. Of course, if they really want it, we have to do our best. But try not to blow your budget on your first purchase. Stay within that budget.
Once upon a time, I have advised clients, if they're just first-time buyers, to even consider the pre-construction, and then that's our forte as well. Like, when you're buying pre-construction, sometimes they have special payment structures, right? That allows you to save money and make those payments to be able to, save and buy your first property. If you're especially younger and you're looking to try to get into your market, it doesn't have to be the best location, but it could be something that's a pre-construction that's more in the suburbs, and it's just a stepping stone. When you're buying it, maybe you live there for 1 year, 2 years, and then you sell it. That's one way of appreciation.
Yeah, actually, we're noticing more and more. I'm sure we all see it right now. The deposit structures for a lot of these pre-construction projects, they're actually quite attractive, right? Like, they're very extended. Like, in comparison to what it was before, it used to be like 5% 90 days, 2.5% 90 days, or 30 days, 60 days, whatever it was. And it's all it's stacked very quickly. It stacks
mostly
very closely
within the year, before.
Yeah. So, but now it's so spread out that it's making it a lot easier for first-time home buyers to really get into the market.
Right. Here's a question we should explore. So, in your experience, guys, how many houses does it take for your first-time home buyers for you to show before they find the one, on average?
Yeah, this varies a lot.
Yeah.
I'd say on average maybe 15, 20 maybe.
That's pretty good.
What is the most
pretty
you've ever
good.
done?
That's not
Which
bad.
is
like,
I've
Yeah.
done hundreds.
Well, I've done.
Yeah.
Okay,
I've
so
done
I've
hundreds, over
done
100,
where
yeah, for
it's
sure.
like one,
Yeah.
right, and then I've done where it's like
Quite
a
a
very
bit.
long
Like how many?
process. You don't even know. I can't even know. I don't
Average.
even know.
Yeah,
Can you say
I've
15,
done
20?
one
Under
client. I
100
did
maybe.
over 300 houses for one couple. It's because their budget allowed them to. They're first time home buyers. Their budget
Yeah.
allowed them to buy anything in downtown Toronto between a condo and a detached house.
Oh, wow.
So they could buy anything, and
Wow,
but
yeah.
they wanted
How long
the
did you spend with that client?
6 months.
Ooh.
They,
not that bad
I honestly
either,
think
though.
in terms of the
That's not that
average,
bad. It's
it should be around 100 to 200. To be honest, because
Yeah.
if you think about it, every time you go out, and if you're targeting 8 to 10 properties, that's only like 20 times.
It depends, though. I mean, if you're asking the right questions and they know
Yeah.
pretty much what they want, there shouldn't be a reason to get into the hundreds
Yeah,
unless
it's quality, right? It's not about quantity.
Fair,
It's
Yeah.
well,
quality.
fair
right?
enough. Fair
Yeah.
enough. So this also depends on this first time home buyer client, the home dynamics, right?
Yes.
Whether it's just a solo decision maker,
Right.
or
Very
if it's
important.
a couple.
yes.
So there could be, and it also depends on the couple's dynamic, right? It could be a silent partner where she or he makes all the decisions.
I have to be careful.
Yeah, of course, I calm
Careful
myself.
to pronounce,
Yeah, I calm myself.
Your wife is watching.
Or, yes. Anyway, so you don't know who the decision maker is, and sometimes it could be from the bank of mom and dad.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they're in it too.
that's-
They have a
they're
say.
always-
They have a
They have a
say.
silent
oh,
stake in it.
yes.
Yeah, they have a say.
And you find that out only when they start coming out to the showings after.
Or when they're ready to put it in an offer.
Yes.
Oh, by
After
the
the-
way, my parents need to see it now.
yes, after the
Yeah. After you see the right house.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, if we need another showing at this one.
Yeah.
yeah, but at that point it's probably your 50th, right, or 70th year home,
Yeah.
and all this time you just realize, oh, they're just helping them, shortlist the homes that they want.
You know, when I first started working with first-time home buyers, yeah, like it was a long process. But to Kenny's point is if you can ask the right questions,
Yeah.
get everything all organized prior to even doing showings, it's cut down a lot of showing time.
Yeah.
Right, because you set the right
That's true.
mindset, you set the right frame of what they need to work with,
The
what they can work
expectations,
with.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, you may have to take them out 2-3 times just to show them what the market and what the unit sizes look like, right? And then then they're like, okay, well, we've seen a lot of units now.
Yeah.
We've seen 15-20 units, and then you can then now narrow down, like, this is what I want. Right, this is what you need to expect now with this market condition.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll show them a property that they can't obtain. It's just way out of their league, just to put them back into reality. This is what you wanted. I'm showing it to you.
It's like
this
the
is the
Property
price.
Brothers.
But this is the price.
But
Does that work?
It's actually
It
kinda
does.
true,
No, it
right?
does. Because like, wow, I'll never be able to afford that this year. Maybe
Not
down the
now.
road,
This
but
year.
at this point in time, our budget doesn't. When how many showings would you say you average on before, for the first time?
To be perfectly honest, like before I take them out and just start driving around, I would probably spend at least a good week just kind of like prepping their expectations, talking to everyone involved, making sure I know I'm asking all the right questions. So I'm probably within the range of where Kenny is, maybe a little bit more, maybe
20
20,
to-
25.
Yeah, I mean, at the
Yeah.
beginning, I usually set up a bunch of, variations, like a townhouse or a semi or detached or a condo. The first one, and then listen to see their their feedback, and then just narrow down going
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah.
Because if you do that,
Yeah.
the next time you shouldn't be like going a big broad range.
Yes.
Because I wouldn't want to show them a detached if they can't afford a detached.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is all like part of the pre-qualifying, right?
It's also bad for the buyers too, because like you give them all this hope that they can obtain this, but in reality they can't. So now they're in their mind, they're just they can't. It's kind of like going to a restaurant and you see a big menu. You don't know what you want. And you're like, it takes me like 5-10 minutes to go through a menu, right?
I know it's
So-
like Rod and Richard. They're like, let them enjoy their fantasy and then crush them. I don't get it, man.
Hey,
a bromance, it's a bromance.
I'd rather go to a,
It's about establishing that rapport and allowing them to live the dream.
Hey man, if you go to a food truck, and all you see is hot dog and a burger, you're gonna pick between a hot dog and a burger, right?
True.
No, because you know what? It's to Steve's point, is that their minds are already there, right? So you have to let them express themselves.
Yeah, you
a
let them
little bit more.
express themselves, but you got to bring them right back down to.
Well, that's the point, right? So now I understand this is what you want, but you know what? Like, here's what our budget really is going to allow us to achieve,
Yeah.
right? So now you're setting the right mind frame. You're setting the right frame of, okay, here's what you can afford, right?
Yeah.
And it's not, you're not trying to be harsh. You're not trying to crush dreams.
Sure sounds
Just
like
saying
it.
it a different way.
it's just setting the right expectations with them, right? That's all it is.
It's our job to guide them.
But-
This could take 1 year or it could take 1 week. It's up. You know what I mean?
Especially if you're in a really aggressive market,
Yeah.
then you'd want to be able to work with them quickly
Yeah.
and get the right expectations set quick so that you can make decisions quickly. Otherwise, the prices are just going to keep going up and up.
There's
and
no
up and
time
up.
for 100 showings.
And I find after 100 or even not even getting to that number, they get tired.
Yes.
They get exhausted. They don't want to see 100 places usually.
Yeah.
They don't even
agree,
want to. They don't even want to.
No, of course not. Of course not.
Yeah.
And then in terms of location, what factors would you say are important to price appreciation?
Subway, 100%. You're talking about subway, TTC, public transit, shops. All those are very, very important aspects.
Definitely, those are all
Yeah.
important.
You know, one thing I always get is like, okay, how long is it for my commute to work? But then I always tell them, my clients, don't buy where you work. Never really do that, right? Because
You can
things
switch
change.
jobs next year. next month.
Well, yeah, you
Like it can happen. It
live where you
does
want.
happen.
Live where you want to live.
Yeah.
Right. Live where you want to live first. Of course, I mean proximity to work, but
So-
are you sure you're going to be there at that job for forever?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Really, honestly, it all comes down to who the buyer is, right, and what is going to suit their lifestyle best, right, and you try to accommodate all the different requirements that they need, but also help them understand that within a certain budget, you have to look at your options, right? Maybe it won't be downtown Toronto, maybe it's got to be in like Markham or in Vaughan, right? Or
Like even in the suburbs, right? Like
Exactly, that's what I
if
mean,
you're
right?
yeah,
That's
if
my
in
point.
the suburbs, like when you were talking about location, you gotta have some grocery stores within reach. It's not like a 30-minute drive.
Yeah.
So
well,
certain things are very, very
so,
important.
for example, like there's first-time home buyers that don't have cars,
Yeah.
right? Then you have to help them select options that are, transit
Public
friendly.
transit. Yeah. You can't Uber every day. It's too expensive.
And what are some of the programs that are available to first-time home buyers?
Yeah, that's a good question. So there's a bunch of incentives from the government that would help specifically first-time buyers. So there's a bunch of them. Let's start with the worst one. I'm going to start with the worst one. It's called the First-Time Home Buyers Incentive. And you guys know about this? This is where you share 5% of your property value with the government.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Well, let's explain to the viewers
Okay,
what that
yes.
is.
So
Yeah.
this is what it is. It's basically a second loan from the government. You could, let's just say if you only have 5% down payment, you could buy something and then the government will give you the other 5%.
They'll top you 5% up. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's a couple catches. The property has to be no more than 600,000 in Toronto, which is very, very limiting. Because you're basically down to one-bedroom condos, basically.
Or you can, you know what?
Yeah,
a lot
you're
of realtors are thinking, it has to be like smaller condos. They can go older too.
They
a lot of
could,
older
yeah.
ones are a lot bigger.
Apartment. You're talking about apartments, right?
Like older condos.
Condo
Well,
apartments.
older
well,
condos.
con-
like
yeah,
I mean,
condo
maintenance fees maybe a little
Right.
bit higher, but hey,
They're
you know
1,200
what?
square feet. Right.
There are some options outside of that bachelor. It's not just that.
Yeah.
Okay. So what more about the program?
So you obviously have to be a first-time buyer. Also, your income cannot exceed $150,000. You have to be
Individual
under.
or combined?
Part of household.
This is household.
Household.
Has to be under 150.
Okay.
Okay. But the other big catch, which I don't like, is that if your property appreciates, the government could take your profits up to 8% max. Yeah. But it also, if the property depreciates, you have to pay. They take 8% as well. So, I mean, in the long term, real estate wins, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it does appreciate in the long term.
After a while, like long term, you got to pay this back. You're
Yeah.
going to pay the government.
Yeah.
If your house went up a lot, you owe the government.
Well,
Yeah.
with that program, they actually register a lien on your property.
It's basically a second mortgage.
Yeah.
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 It shows up as a second mortgage, which means the lawyer has to do more legwork as well, which could add up more costs. I don't think it's worth it at all. I don't know.
Well, and if you don't fit those requirements, there's also actually private companies that are also offering the same. That they'll co-own the home with you, and they're willing to put 5 to 15% down with you. And now they co-own, and of course they also share in the profits when you sell.
So is that better, or is that the same as the government, or how does that work?
Well, some lenders cap it off at 250,000,
Okay.
and the income requirement isn't as stringent as the government.
It's more flexible, and of
Yeah.
course, there's probably no 600,000 max limit for the purchase price, right? Probably.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're trying to mimic the program to cater to more first-time home buyers.
Yeah.
Definitely. So, guys, we're talking like this is probably like the least favorable option, but these are still options that
Absolutely.
renters that are currently renting right now that want to get into homeownership that don't have that down payment. These are great options to consider. It may not be the best
Just to
option.
get your foot.
Just
but
to get,
to
in
get
the
yourself
door.
into the market to help yourself build some equity in your own property so that you can eventually move on to a property that is more, a bigger home or, something a little bit more desirable for yourself, right? It's still a stepping stone in the right direction.
Yeah, even if you don't capture all the gains, and you're splitting with the government.
You're not
You
getting
still
left
gain.
behind though. At least.
No,
You still got gains.
That's a good
Yeah,
point.
don't-
So why some of us are feeling not super enthusiastic about this program is because the government or the lender shares in the deposit. But what happens is the government or the lender doesn't just share in the proportionate increase from that deposit. They actually share in the proportionate increase of the whole entire property.
Yeah.
Which is why some of us are not as
Exactly. As
enthusiastic.
you're a homeowner, you know,
Yeah.
you do all the maintenance, you take care of the house,
The
but the
mortgage
government
payments.
Yeah, but the government takes a percentage of that. I mean, it's
Yeah.
something.
I mean,
I just don't think
It's not the
in a
most
way, you gotta look at it as
favorable-
like a business decision, right?
Yes.
So like, if you have a silent partner that put in 10% of capital,
Mm-hmm.
so you can get it started, right? They own 10% of the equity of the company,
Mm-hmm.
right? Regardless of how much legwork you do,
Yes.
right? So it's ideally almost the same principle or same concept.
Let's move on maybe because some people may not have the full down payment up front. But what if they're talking about extracting funds from other plans that they have? What if they have a RRSP? Let's talk about that. Like how can they extract some funds to use towards their deposit?
Yeah, home buyer's plan. So as a first-time buyer, you could withdraw up to $35,000 from your RRSP, or if you have a spouse that's also a first-time buyer, you could do that as well. So $70,000 between two people.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So, but it's also not as good because you have to pay back the funds within 15 years.
15
Right,
years, yeah.
15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
When do you have to
it does
start
help.
paying that back?
2 years after you
Yeah.
purchase the property.
Yeah, and
making
it,
sure
it has to be also a principal residence as well, obviously.
Okay.
Yeah, so that one's okay. I think it's better than the first one.
It's a good option. I mean, like it helps you save because you are putting money away that's tax free. When you're contributing into it, and then when you pull it out, then it's an option. It's a saving option.
But at least you can access the funds.
Yeah, you can access.
No,
it.
it's good.
Yes.
I have a lot of clients that actually take advantage of this. I wouldn't say it helps out, tremendously, but it's something.
It helps.
Help is help.
But-
So the first time home buyers plan is essentially like, first of all, RSPs are meant for you to save for your future.
Right.
Because as we've all been told by financial advisors and such, the pensions, the CPP is not going to be there by the time we retire. So we have to save for our own futures.
Yeah.
So you're saving for your future. Now you're able to access that money in order to buy your home, and then you're just paying back into the RSP to continue saving for your future. I see it's a win-win
Yeah,
situation.
there's no issue with that. No
Yeah.
issue.
Yeah. Actually, Kenny, one thing, when you're looking into that program, there are some exceptions. It's not just first-time home buyers that can leverage that program,
Yes.
right? I believe you also can be a recent divorcee and leverage the RRSP dollars as well, right? Are there any other exceptions that you may know of or that you've seen when researching? Or Woody, do you know?
Yeah, for to participate in the HBP, I'd have to double check. It's after 4 or 5 years. If you purchase a property and you sold it, so at this point you no longer own a property. If you haven't owned a property for 4 to 5 years, that home buyer's plan actually resets, and you can participate once again in the home buyer's plan.
Yeah, it's 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about the other incentives. We're getting to the good stuff now. There's the first-time home buyer land transfer tax rebate, which is great. It actually helps like thousands for your first home.
Oh, not just HST or GST, the land transfer.
Land
Yeah.
transfer tax rebate. So just to give you an
nice.
example, if you purchase a property for $600,000 in Toronto, you would have to pay $17,000 of land transfer tax. But because if you're a first-time home buyer, you only pay $8,400.
Correct.
So almost like
Half.
Does that
almost
include
half,
the
that's right.
Ontario portion as well? Is
Well,
that
that's right.
Yeah,
So
this
that's
is Toronto.
4,000 provincial,
Toronto.
4,000 from
Yeah.
municipal.
Exactly.
But okay, so the other example is if you purchase $600,000 in York region, which is not Toronto, you only pay the Ontario portion. You would pay $8,500. But if you're a first-time home buyer, you would pay $4,500.
That's huge.
That's a big savings.
huge.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, we forgot to start with defining what a first-time home buyer is. Can we talk about that? Like, what is considered a first-time home buyer.
Well,
Do you want to elaborate?
Yeah. Well, I mean, owning a property, like sometimes, say in Asia or Europe, and they come here and say, oh, I'm a first-time buyer in Canada. Does that qualify?
That's a good point.
And
Technically, and we're here to tell you what you should do, not what you could do. First-time home buyer is somebody who has never owned a property anywhere in the world.
That's right.
Correct. The technical terms is that first-time home buying is someone that's never owned a home ever in their entire life.
Yes.
As the name suggests.
Meaning you've never been on title
Yes, never been on title.
or a mortgage.
Yeah.
So for the viewers, if someone says, "Oh, can you put your name on this property?" You're forfeiting your first-time homebuyer rights.
Correct. So
yeah, don't do that.
Don't do that.
Yeah, there's many scenarios where,
you
okay,
don't-
well, I'm going to put my son's name on title, just
Okay,
as a
Dad.
placeholder.
Yeah.
and that just ruins it for him.
yeah.
it's not the best plan.
Yeah.
You want to
Or
save it
lack
for
of-
your
lack
own
of plan.
home. Yeah. But it's
Because that happens already for
it's just not advisable
younger people.
if that's
Yeah.
listening.
Yeah. So some parents are like, you know what? If I pass away, I want to ensure this house passes to you.
Yeah.
And they put their child on there, and so that the government doesn't get their grubby hands on the property, and then now the child, when they go to buy a home, they don't qualify.
they're not a first-time home buyer
Yeah.
because they already own something.
Yeah.
Which again, it's not bad because they do have a property.
Yeah.
So that's a good trade.
Free home.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. On to the next.
So let's talk about the best one. Now, this is called the First Home Savings Account, which comes out actually next week on April 1st. So it's brand new.
April 3rd, right?
April, I some sources say
Early-
April 1st, some say
yeah.
3rd. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. But anyways,
Well,
next
the
week.
first would be
It's coming
Saturday.
soon.
Yeah,
Coming
it's
soon.
It's not
Oh,
April
okay.
April
Fools.
1st would be Saturday, so
Okay,
April
so
3rd
maybe-
would be Monday.
Maybe the 3rd then.
April Fools, man.
Fell for it. So this one's the best one in my opinion. So it's similar to an RRSP, and it's similar to a TFSA, and it combines the two together, both of the benefits without any of the drawbacks, which is amazing. So it's similar to an RRSP in that if you contribute, it's tax deductible. Great right there.
Huge.
And when you take out the money, there's no tax consequences
It's
like a
amazing.
TFSA.
This is
It's-
amazing.
That's
program.
amazing.
It's so good.
That's
It's so
actually
good.
really
You don't have to repay it either.
You don't have to repay it back. Each year, you're allowed to contribute up to $8,000, up to a maximum of $40,000. And
Oh,
again,
I also read that let's say if you don't contribute 8,000 next year,
it carries over.
it doesn't.
It does. I read into it. It
Really?
does. I think
So-
they made a couple changes.
Okay.
Yeah, they made a couple changes. First, when they introduced this, they said they can combine this
8,000
with
per year, and then that was it.
Yeah.
So if you forfeit that
So now
year,
it
then
can
that's-
carry over.
It could
is
carry
what
over.
you're
So
saying.
okay,
if the
that's
first
good.
year you can only pay 5,000, the next year you could pay 8,000 plus the remaining.
Yeah.
You can do that. So
That's amazing.
they made a couple changes apparently in November, but it's good because you could open up an investment account. Put in $8,000 per year, YOLO it on stocks, meme stocks,
AMC.
AMC,
GameStop.
GameStop.
You're gonna have $1 million in a couple years. Withdraw that out, no tax consequences.
Yeah.
Very cool. This
So this program is, you said it only allows, there's a cap on it?
40K
40,000 max
Okay.
of contributions
of contribution, but of course, when you grow it, then it's a little different, right?
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? 8,000.
Once you do use it, you do have to close the account, and you're not eligible to open a new one.
Okay.
So that was
You can only use it once
use it one
in
time.
your life. Yeah, and this also goes back to the point. If you, in the past 4 years, if you were not a homeowner, like if you own like 5 years ago,
Yeah.
and you sold it 5 years ago, it restarts. You could actually use this.
Nice.
So it's
wait.
not a first in life.
Okay, because this program is actually very new. I don't know anything about it, to be honest. But if you were to, so first year you're allowed 8,000.
Yeah.
Second year you're allowed 8,000.
8,000.
So basically within 5 years you can get to the $40,000.
Assuming
max
you put-
contribution.
But you can roll it.
Well,
You can roll it over.
thanks, buddy.
You can roll it forward.
I know. I was thinking because I was thinking about how we're talking about the RSPs,
Yeah.
and how you could potentially get a loan and throw all that money into your RSP, right away, right, and then leverage that RSP after 90 days.
Well, this one starts next week, so your 40,000 cap is going to be
Well, it'll be 8,000 cap for the first year.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So that means that maybe if people are looking to purchase in the future, their planning shouldn't just be 2 years. It should be 5 years at least ahead of time.
Yeah.
And utilizing all these programs, you could drastically improve your purchasing power. It could be tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, utilizing each of these programs and these rebates as well. You could potentially save so much money.
You know what? I'm just thinking here, even if you're not ready to buy within the next 5 years, for example, you can start one for your kids
Very true.
and start contributing a little bit every
there's no
year.
age requirement.
No, there is. So for this new program, you have to be 18, unfortunately.
Okay.
So which puts, but it makes sense though, because it is tax deductible. You're not gonna, like a kid, they're not making income. There's no point, being a tax reduction on that.
Tax
but-
their allowance.
Tax or allowance, exactly. So you have to be 18. You have to be a Canadian citizen, or if you have a PR card as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're really smart, start at 18.
Start early.
They're gonna have a job, or like a part-time job. Use that 8,000 to reduce your taxes to very little, and then use their RRSP. You have to combine and use all these programs.
Yeah, you
to
gotta
make it
teach
work.
these kids early
Now,
now.
if you
for
don't buy
sure.
a house, what can you take that money out?
You can. So
Yeah.
if you can take it out, but then you're taxed.
Okay,
It counts. Yeah.
So
Okay.
it has to
Towards
be
your-
towards
yeah.
a home.
Yeah.
Then it's not taxed.
got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like an RESP, right? If you take it out and your kids are dumb and they don't go to university, you can just, hey man, just being realistic, not crushing dreams here.
If your kids are
But you know
dumb,
what? I'm sure there's a way to transfer.
We're gonna edit that out.
No, that goes in, man.
Everyone's kids are becoming YouTubers and TikTokers, bro. They don't need to. They don't need university. What are you talking
What do you
about?
want to do? Want to be an influencer?
Like an
Yeah.
RESP, you can transfer
Yeah.
that money
Yeah.
into some other registered account.
Homeschooling, man. Homeschooling. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Can you transfer? Actually, that's a good question. Can you transfer? Do you know?
you can. You probably have to talk to some
A financial
expert on
advisor?
this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
because I
fair
know
enough.
for the new program, the first time home savings account, you can transfer back and forth with RRSP. But there's some downfall. Like I think it removes some RRSP contribution rooms. I don't want to get into too much detail because I don't even not an expert on that.
So something to look into.
Something to look into.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And here's a scenario for you all. So if you own a property and somehow you are single and you meet someone, you guys end up getting or living together. 1 year later, you guys split up. It was you kind of considered common law. Does that person still have their first time buyer?
After 4 years.
Yeah, because if they're entitled,
They're not on title though. They're not on title.
Are you on title?
No, just common law.
Oh,
Oh,
then-
so one person buys and the other person.
Yeah, but
Like a
common
girl-
law is technically what's considered marriage.
I actually know that.
No.
you
In
would not
Ontario,
be
it's
con-
very different.
You would not be
Yeah.
considered a
It's
first-time
pro-
home buyer at
Yeah,
that point.
because you never purchased the property, right? It was
Yeah.
under your spouse.
Okay, so similar.
They need spousal consent to sell,
For-
but
yeah,
they're
yeah.
not. They're not.
Okay, that's a good
Yeah.
point.
And these rules only apply provincially.
Provincially.
So, yeah, so they change from province to province.
Okay, so if you own a property and you do get married, and
They
she,
lose their rights though.
I think they lose their
They
rights
lose
if
it,
they
yeah.
once you get married, even
Yeah.
if you never purchased.
So here's a scenario of, just for myself. So right before we got married, me and my wife, we bought the property 2 months before we signed the papers. So she retained her first-time homebuyer's portion, and then so she got the benefit.
You didn't.
I didn't, which is
Yeah.
fine. But then when we get married, she would have lost it anyways. So sign the papers early if that was the plan, right?
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense actually.
Yeah.
Just make.
I'm just happy we signed the papers
Well, yeah.
afterwards.
The point is, if somebody's a first time home buyer,
We made it through that hurdle. Some people,
I feel like that's going to go into a whole different conversation.
it can be risky though. It can be risky if it's dicey relationship. But, it worked out. It worked out.
Make it to the altar.
Hey, what if you get left on the altar? You're done, right?
yeah.
So Kenny, are there any other programs?
That's it.
That's it.
Those are all. But the fact that you can combine them all is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when they first introduced the savings account, they said the government said you're not allowed to combine it with the home buyers plan, the RRSP.
Yeah.
But now you can.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Game changer.
That's a game changer. This whole program is actually really
Well, they kind of have
Actually,
to.
it's quite amazing.
I mean, it's just getting out of hand. A lot of the first-time home buyers are they're struggling, right?
Do you guys have any final thoughts or words of advice to the first time home buyers listening out there?
Keep up with your bill payments. Keep up your credit score.
Oh, don't buy a car before. Right? Don't buy a car.
Don't finance.
Don't open up
lease
a lot of
car.
credit. Don't open up. Yeah.
If you need a
keep
car,
your
buy a
ratios
used
the
one.
same.
Also don't switch jobs.
Don't
Yes.
switch
Keep
your
jobs.
job because
you need 6 months.
continuity of employment is
Yeah.
very important.
Probation,
really
man.
important.
Yeah. Speak with a professional. Get your financial house in order and plan. Planning will save you the pain.
Yeah. Because I'm just gonna be real. If a first-time home buyer comes up to one of us realtors with no plan, we really can't help them. Until we get them sorted out financially. Because if they're like, oh, I want to see this house, but I haven't gotten any of my stuff in order, we can't waste our time.
Get your finances in order.
Yeah,
Get your
yeah.
finances in order.
There's not much
Get
we
your
can do on that
finances
end.
in order.
You know what?
first.
If first time homebuyers are thinking about buying, talk to a realtor.
Yeah.
They'll set you up. They'll
yeah.
consult with you, work with you, so that you are prepared, to get into the market.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
being transparent and honest with us as well, it goes a long way. Instead of, doing a lot of work and then there's like discoveries along the way.
Oh, actually, go ahead, continue. No, because you know what, you're right. I just with my own experience, I forgot about this, but the realtor that you're working with is generally there to help you, right? They're not there to try
Not
to
generally, we are there to help you. We're there to guide you through the
there are
process.
some-
first time home buyers, they
Yeah.
think that we're out there just to get a sale.
No,
Right?
absolutely.
And
not.
it's not. That's
Absolutely
not always the
not.
case, right? We're always there to help you with the process, trying to get you to your end goal, which is get you into your home, get to your future home.
Yeah.
Right. We're not here to try to screw you and try to force you into buying something. At least majority
I'm sure
of us
there are some,
right?
but
And
for the
majority of
most
us are.
part,
Yeah.
that's not our role
Yeah.
in the transaction, right? So,
Okay. No, that sounds good, man. So if you are a listener that's thinking of purchasing your first home, hopefully this information helped you out a bit.
yeah.
Okay.
Contact us.
Yeah.
Or, you can find us down below, right?
Yeah.
Down where?
Yeah. No.
Oh, the
like,
comments?
Okay, so I've been adding all of our tags onto the videos lately. It's not working, but at least it's there.
Oh, you gotta
So,
keep doing it.
We'll try to figure that out. But just contact us if you guys have any questions. For now.
Sounds good, man.
Sounds good.
All right. Bye,
Awesome.
guys.
Hey, bye.
Cheers.